Welcome back to another episode of the RGV Sports Podcast. My name is Bryan Ramos.
And I'm Ivan Palacios. The playoffs are here. We've gone through 11 weeks of Texas high school football. Now it's records out the window. It doesn't matter if you finish as number 1, number 4. You're in, and now's the time to prove that you belong.
Yeah. If you're still alive at this point, you got a chance, and that's all you need, man, to make a run in the Texas high school football playoffs at any level. So we're looking forward to diving in and breaking down all these upcoming first-round by-district playoff matchups across South Texas here in round 1. But first, we're going to recap that Week 11, man. Ivan, it was just district titles on the line, playoff spots on the line, and Week 11 delivered with some big games all across the valley. And as always, before we dive into our Week 11 recap, visit us at rgvsports.com and football.rgvsports.com, and you can catch us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube at RGV Sports. So, thank you guys for joining us for another episode. Well, let's dive right in, Ivan. I mean, last week, the Week 11 RGV Sports Game of the Week, that took us to a win-and-in situation in District 15, 5A D1, one of the toughest districts across all of South Texas. This district featured 9 teams. 7 of them were playoff teams a year ago, and the fourth and final playoff spot in 15-5A D1 comes down to the Harlingen South Hawks and Westaco East Wildcats. And this one was at last Thursday at 7 p.m. at Bogus Stadium, and Harlingen South picks up a 42-33 win over Westaco East to punch their ticket to the playoffs. I mean, this game, it started off even. It was 7-7 early. Both teams came out and did their thing on their first possession. Malachi Rodriguez connects with Gianni Ortiz for a 22-yard touchdown pass to get the Wildcats on the board. Harlingen South answers back with a touchdown pass to Luis Orozco to get the Hawks on the board. And then from that point, when it was 7-7 even, it was all Hawks from that point on, Ivan. I mean, they go on to build up a 35-7 lead on the Wildcats late into the second half, and they did it primarily on the ground. And they got a two-headed rushing attack. Dylan Anaya, Alvin Edwards, they go over 400 rushing yards combined, those two. And it was just a really big performance. Luis Orozco, three receptions, 33 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving. Austin Schroyer also throws a touchdown pass for the Hawks. And just a really impressive performance all around from Harlingen South to punch their ticket to the playoffs. Fourth year in a row for the Hawks. And while Westaco East, their season comes to an end at 6-4 overall. So this one, man, it was a fun one for a bit, but then Harlingen South proved that, hey, man, they wanted it a little bit more. They executed a little bit better, and their defense really just was able to stop Westaco East's run game, which we know that's how they like to move the ball. And they turned the Wildcats kind of into a passing team, which kind of goes against everything that they want to do. So all credit in the world to Harlingen South, Coach Israel Gonzalez, and those guys for punching their ticket to the playoffs and taking care of business against Westaco East there in the Week 11 RGV Sports Game of the Week. So, big one there. Ivan, for a winning-in playoff situation there. Harlingen South takes care of business. And I know across the valley, Ivan, we had some district titles on the line going on.
Yeah, man, over at Sam's Memorial Stadium, you had Ed Couch Elsa and Brownsville Lopez going at it on Thursday. Ed Couch already had a share of the district title. It was their first district title since 2013. Lopez was right there in the mix. They just needed a win to force to earn at least a share. Ed Couch did not want a share, though. You can see that in their eyes. They came out ready to play, and it showed early on. They jumped out to a 17-3 lead at the half. Elijah Trevino, 2 touchdown passes early, both going to Brandon Morales, and huge interception by Nathan Amaya there in the final minute of the first half. Sets up a field goal by Jesus Ramirez to give them that 2-touchdown lead heading into the break. But, Lopez, they haven't been in this position before, but they weren't going to go down without a fight. They cut into the lead behind a 23-yard touchdown pass from Guadalupe Ramirez to Gabriel Rios, makes it 17-10. How does Ed Couch respond? 15-play, 90-yard drive, chew up over 12 minutes of clock. They chewed up the rest of the third quarter, half of the fourth quarter. And, they cap it with a 1-yard touchdown by Aiden Garcia, make it 24-10, with only 6 minutes left. Lopez, again, they're not going down without a fight. Quick 2-minute drive, another touchdown pass from Ramirez to Rios, makes it 24-17, but Ed Couch also turns to their run game again. Big-time runs by quarterback Elijah Trevino and running back Aiden Garcia. They chew out the rest of the clock and secure the outright district title. They finished 5-0. They didn't want to share. They're not sharing with anyone. Shout out quarterback Elijah Trevino, 12 of 14, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, and on the ground, 21 carries, 159 yards. Comes up with some huge plays down the stretch to keep that clock moving, keep those chains moving, and just chew up that clock. And huge shout out to Coach Cardenas. He's played there from '96 to '98, I believe. He won district titles as a player. He's won district titles as an assistant coach. Now he gets his first district title as a head coach at the program. He was born and bred in, and now bringing one back to his players, first time in 11 years. So shout out to the Yellow Jackets, outright district champs by beating Brownsville Lopez 24-17 on Thursday.
Yeah, that's a huge win for La Máquina, man. They are back, so congratulations to them. And then to keep things moving, man, Ivan, we had just in District 16 5A D1 entering Week 11, we had 4 teams fighting for the 3rd and 4th spots in 16 5A D1. It came down to Mission High, La Jolla Palmview, McAllen Row, and McAllen High, all with 3-3 district records. And on Thursday, Mission High beat Juarez Lincoln to punch their playoff ticket, and La Jolla Palmview picked up a 2017 win over McAllen Memorial to punch their playoff ticket on a last-second field goal by Sebastian Rios, a 23-yard kick, sails through the uprights to give Palmview a big win over McAllen Memorial, as Palmview improved to 7-3 overall, 4-3 in district, and they take the number 4 seed there in 16 5A D1. Kyle Bazan scored a 6-yard rushing touchdown early to put Palmview on the board. And this Palmview team, they trailed 14-0 against Memorial, so they had to battle back. They knew, hey, if we lose this game, we're out. Well, the Palmview didn't show no quit. They battled back, like I said, 6-yard rushing touchdown, and then the defense gets in on the scoring action. A high snap goes over the quarterback's head for Memorial. The ball bounces around. Nobody can really bounce on it and scoop it. But the first person to do so, Osbel Flores for Palmview, he scoops and scores for a 40-yard touchdown return, and that tied the game. That gave Palmview a 17-14 lead there in the second half. And then ultimately, Palmview gets the ball back with time winding down in the 4th quarter, drives downfield, sets up that 23-yard kick with no time remaining in the 4th quarter. So congratulations to Palmview earning that 4th spot in District 16 5A D1 with a 2017 win over McAllen Memorial. So congratulations to the Lobos on taking care of business and keeping their season alive as they look forward to the 5A D1 playoffs coming up this week. Ivan, back to you, man. What other games caught your eye here in Week 11 that had some playoff implications?
This one didn't have playoff implications. Both teams were already in, but when you have these 2 teams on the field, it's always a show. And the Battle of the Arroyo this year did not disappoint. San Benito and Harlingen going ahead there at Bogus Stadium. Like I said, no implications, but it felt like a playoff-like game. Both sides were packed to the brim, and San Benito, they come in with a 1-8 record. They're still in the playoffs because they beat Hanna, but you want to end the season with the win. And they set the tone from the opening drive that they had. Tommy Ramirez goes 59 yards on his first carry. He finishes the game with 25 carries, 140 yards, stepping into that running back row. And, they jump out early on Harlingen. They take a 13-0 lead behind touchdowns from Victor Cuellar and Kean Jones. They go up 13-0. Harlingen not going down without a fight. Jonas Serna throws a 19-yard touchdown pass to Aiden Flores to make it 13-6 at the break. And the second half was all San Benito, though. They turn to their kicker, sophomore Francisco Barrientos. They didn't score touchdowns. He goes 3 of 3 down the stretch, though, to put him up 22-14. Harlingen High, Noah Huerta tries to keep Harlingen in the game. He does score 1 touchdown in the second half, but it's not enough. He goes for 201 touchdown, but the most impressive thing to me was that San Benito defense. 3 takeaways, all unforced fumbles, including a huge one by Luke Gonzalez. Forces that fumble on Harlingen's drive, trying to tie the game. They're down 8. They're trying to tie the game. He forces the fumble, recovered by Henry Quiroz. San Benito does the rest, runs out the clock, come away with a 22-14 win on the road against Harlingen High. Beating the Cardinals there at Harlingen High is no easy task.
Yeah, tough game.
San Benito, they've had a history of they win one, but they can't win back-to-back. Now they're back-to-back Battle of the Arroyo champions. And, Coach Dan Gomez, he's 6-5 against Manny Gomez now this year. They've kind of been battling for 11 years now, and he has the edge now going into next year, 6-5 over Manny Gomez there in that Battle of the Arroyo. So shout out the Greyhounds. You look at the record, they finished 2-8, but I don't think they're like any other 2-8 team you see. They've played some tough squads. They played the Westlakes early. They played Carthage. They played teams like Brownsville Vets, PSJ North. So the record doesn't speak to what this team has. I think they're starting to come together nicely, and this is when you want to see your team coming together, is right into the playoffs. And they got a tough one coming up in the first round, but, we'll dive more into that in a bit. So shout out again, San Benito with the 22-14 win there on the road in the Battle of the Arroyo.
Yeah, and to keep our recap moving, we'll take a little trip outside of the Rio Grande Valley for this one, but this game, although it didn't feature Rio Grande Valley teams, this game had implications for one Rio Grande Valley team and several as far as looking at that first round playoff matchup. And I'm talking about the Battle of Yorktown, Corpus Christi Veterans and Flower Bluff in District 15 5A D1. We touched on Harlingen South and Westaco East battling for that final playoff spot. Well, the first three playoff spots in that district were claimed already by Flower Bluff, Corpus Christi Veterans, and PSG North. Flower Bluff entered this game 9-0, 7-0 in district. Corpus Christi Veterans, just one loss in district. That was against PSG North earlier this year. PSG North, of course, they entered this week 8-1 overall after suffering a 28-27 loss the week prior in week 10 against Flower Bluff, 28-27. So although all three teams already clinched playoff spots, but with Corpus Christi Veterans and PSG North with one loss in district play, both of them are rooting for a takedown of Flower Bluff to get in on that gold ball action, and Corpus Christi Veterans does so and knocks off the Flower Bluff Hornets, a state-ranked team here in 5A Division I, 36-33 in double overtime. Just a thrilling game between two tough teams, man. And Ivan, I saw this Corpus Christi Veterans team come down here and play PSG North earlier in the season. It was, I believe, it was our second district game. So quite early. That was week 4, dating all the way back to week 4. And PSG North, man, they put a beat down on Corpus Christi Veterans, 35-7. Well, this Corpus Christi Veterans team against Flower Bluff, they did a complete 180. They were completely different. They went toe-to-toe with Flower Bluff. They were leading nearly the entire game before Flower Bluff makes a dramatic comeback to tie things late and send it into overtime. And then in overtime, both teams score on their first possession. Corpus Christi Veterans starts with the ball. They score on a third and 25 that they get in on the end zone, and then Flower Bluff answers right back with a touchdown to even the score and send it into double OT. And then Flower Bluff starts with the ball in that first overtime, and that came to a crashing end as Zachary Smith, Corpus Christi Veterans linebacker, came up with an interception at the goal line to keep the Flower Bluff from scoring any points, which meant Corpus Christi Veterans at least just needed a field goal for the win, and they get just that from Ryan Carmona. He kicks it through the uprights for a 36-33 double overtime win for Corpus Christi Veterans. That gives Flower Bluff their first loss in district play. Corpus Christi Veterans finishes with one loss in district play, and PSG North took care of business against Brownsville Rivera, so they finished with one loss in district play. So that tough district that we all talked about coming into this season, it's only fitting it ends with tri-district champions, PSG North, Corpus Christi Veterans, and Flower Bluff. For Flower Bluff and PSG North, that's their third district title in a row, although they had to share this one. But yeah, just a significant result there from Corpus Christi Veterans and Flower Bluff to create tri-district champs there in 15 5A D1. So shout out to Corpus Christi Veterans, man, taking care of business. And it's not easy to take a loss like they did against PSG North and bounce back from that. And they've been on a run ever since. So congratulations to them. And Ivan, I know we had another winning in game here in the Rio Grande Valley in week 11. What happened there?
Yeah, just to round out our recap, we started with the winning in game. We're going to close it out with the winning in game. Hidalgo and Valley View, they're both 1-8 coming into this one, but as in a 5-team district, they had a chance at the playoffs. Winner gets in, and Hidalgo takes care of business. They take down their rival Valley View 28-14 to punch their ticket to the playoffs. It's the first time since 2021 that they're headed to the playoffs. And huge shout out to Anthony Warren with a huge game on both sides of the ball. He catches one ball for 24 yards and one touchdown. Also has 10 tackles, 3 interceptions, and a fumble recovery.
Wow.
Talk about making big-time plays when your team needed it. And
yeah,
they finished 2-8 overall, but they're going to the playoffs, and that's all that matters in the grand scheme of things. First-year head coach, you get your team into the playoffs with the win there to end the year. So shout out the Pirates, and Anthony Warren, congratulations on that huge game to get your team into the postseason.
Absolutely.
So that rounds out our recap. And before we review our Week 11 Player of the Week, let's take a moment to hear from our sponsors who make covering athletes here in the Rio Grande Valley possible.
Welcome to NEP Medical Center in Westaco, your award-winning destination for stroke care. We are proud to introduce our primary stroke center powered by the most advanced technology through Viz AI and in partnership with DHR Stroke Network.
At NEP Medical Center, we understand the urgency of stroke care and the importance of quick intervention.
When a stroke alert is activated, our specialized stroke team springs into action.
Upon arrival at NEP Medical Center, our patients are swiftly taken to our CT scan room, where the advanced imaging technology captures detailed images of the brain.
These images are then sent to Viz AI's powerful artificial intelligence platform, which analyzes the scan in real time.
Viz AI's cutting-edge algorithms quickly and accurately identify potential signs of stroke,
assisting our team in making informed decisions about the best course of treatment.
NEP Medical Center's primary stroke center
Is dedicated to provide our patients with the highest level of stroke care.
giving them the best chance for recovery.
trust our experienced team to deliver compassionate care
Advanced technology
And timely intervention.
when it matters the most.
Test drive today at Clark Chevrolet and drive home a winner this December when you enter the Ticket to Ride the Great Tracks giveaway. Visit Clark Chevrolet for a test drive and you're in. It's that easy. No purchase necessary. One entry per household. Test drive today at Clark Chevrolet and drive home a winner. Get in on the Ticket to Ride the Great Tracks giveaway at Clark Chevrolet today.
For nearly a century, we're family.
Enter today when you visit Clark Chevrolet, US 83 McAllen, Texas.
Thank you again to all our sponsors that make this all possible. And, without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do and what we've been doing this year. And, without further ado, Bryan, that takes us to our Player of the Week. We had some big games, and they have that saying, big-time players make big-time plays. And, just tell us a little bit about our Players of the Week this week.
Exactly, and you said it, Ivan. Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. And these two, they delivered in the RGV Sports Game of the Week. We touched on it earlier. Harlingen South picks up a 42-23 win over Westaco East in a must-win game to punch their ticket to the playoffs, and it wouldn't have been possible without, obviously, the O-line up front, who made room for Harlingen South seniors Dylan Anaya, who's an athlete, lined up at quarterback, running back, and receiver in this one, and scores touchdowns, passing, rushing, and receiving. And then Alvin Edwards, just one of the best backs here in 2024, senior running back who's been kind of their workhorse runner there out of the backfield, splitting time with Dylan Anaya, who takes snaps at quarterback and running back. He's just a versatile weapon. But in this one, Dylan Anaya, 2 for 4 for 9 yards passing, 1 touchdown. 15 carries, 188 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. 1 catch for 12 yards, 1 touchdown. He just fills up the stat sheet. Wherever he does, he just makes an impact. He's just a really good player and fun to watch because you never know where he's lined up. And he's one of those when teams are preparing for during the week. The scout team's got this player practicing as him, playing his role. They got him wearing that special jersey, and you always got to keep an eye where to find number 8 for Harlingen South. Because he's just a Swiss Army knife for the Hawks. And then Alvin Edwards, man, he's just a tough runner. He's got, he can fight for tough yards, and he's got breakaway speed to burn you on some big gains. He runs for 240 yards on 18 carries, 2 touchdowns. Both of these guys over 1,000 rushing yards on the year. So congratulations to Harlingen South, Dylan Anaya and Alvin Edwards splitting RGV Sports Player of the Week honors here in Week 11 and punching their ticket to the playoffs in the process. So shout out to those guys for getting it done there in Week 11. And we'll keep this thing moving and dive into our RGVsports.com football rankings that wrap up, that follow the Week 11. We'll release one final rankings at the conclusion of the regular season, but hopefully that's not for another month or so after our teams can hopefully put together some playoff runs here. Mm-hmm. But we'll kick off the RGVsports.com football rankings with the 5A, 6A top 10. And Ivan, we saw no movement in spots 1 through 6. All teams pick up victories. Adam McVella, PSG North, PSG High, Los Fresnos, Brownsville Veterans, and Ed Couch Elsa. Several district champions there and runners-up in district. And then Ivan, number 7, Westaco High moves up 1 spot to number 8 as they finish at 7-3 overall. And then we've touched on them quite a bit in this podcast, but Harlingen South, shout out to them, working their way back into the RGV Sports top 5A, 6A top 10 at number 8. following their big win over Westaco East. And then our number 9 and 10 teams, Ivan, if we can touch on them for a second. Sharyland Pioneer comes in at number 9, Mercedes at number 10. And these teams, they both finish as runners up there in their district. But, man, I've been impressed with Sharyland Pioneer on how they put things together, man. They graduated majority of their weapons offensively coming into this year. Even lost some key guys on the offensive line, yet here they are. So they finished the year 7-3. Just a really good season for them. And beating the only team they lost to in district play was Alice, who, of course, went on to win that district title. So just a good showing from the Diamondbacks here this season. Then, Ivan, just your thoughts on Mercedes that comes in at number 10 here.
You know, Mercedes really put together a strong season. They're finishing as a runner-up, or tied for, or no, yeah, they finished as the runner-up there in District 16-5 AD2. They lost their starting quarterback against Lopez earlier this year, and Aaron Cortez has, you know, they split duties. Now it's full-time Aaron Cortez, and he's put together quite a decent run there with over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. And I think the biggest takeaway, though, was junior Robert Sanchez, over 1,400 yards, 22 rushing touchdowns. They found their guy, and guess what? They get him back next year. This is a young team, man. They got a lot of freshmen starting on there. They finished 7-3, so it's only up from here. They're in the playoffs now, get that experience, and, you know, you start looking at next year, too. This is a team that you're going to want to look out for.
Yeah. Congratulations to Pioneer and Mercedes sticking in the top 10 here to round out the 5A, 6A rankings. And then moving on to the sub-5A top 4, Ivan, Brownsville St. Joseph, I mean, they've just been on another level this year when you look at our sub-5A teams. They come in at number 1, Rio Hondo at number 2, Port Isabel number 3, and Santa Rosa number 4. Those rankings stay the same. No movement there entering or following week 11. But all those teams just strong showings this season to earn the respect in their various classes and in their various districts. So shout out to all those guys getting it done, and good luck in the postseason. And then that will move along right into the Coastal Bend top 4. And Ivan, Flower Bluff had been our number 1 team. They fall to Corpus Christi Veterans. That leaves the team that started the year at number 1, Corpus Christi Miller, to jump them back for that number 1 spot. They move up from number 2 to number 1 following Flower Bluff's first loss. Corpus Christi Veterans, they were number 4 last week, but they took down the number 1 team. Hey, you got to show them some love.
Yes, sir.
They creep up to number 2, and of course they played Corpus Christi Miller earlier this year. Miller came out on the winning side of that one. So Corpus Christi Miller number 1, Corpus Christi Veterans number 2, Flower Bluff, after suffering their first loss, they come in at number 3, and then Corpus Christi Cal Allen, they finish the year at 8-2 and round out the Coastal Bend top 4 at number 4. So, man, just all these teams playing along, having the opportunity to continue their seasons and play in the playoffs. So good luck to all those squads, and wishing them the best of luck in the first round of the playoffs. So with our Player of the Week and top 10 breakdown in the books, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors here at RGV Sports for helping us promote high school athletics here in the Rio Grande Valley.
Welcome to NAP Medical Center in Westaco, your award-winning destination for stroke care. We are proud to introduce our primary stroke center powered by the most advanced technology through Viz AI and in partnership with DHR Stroke Network.
At NAP Medical Center, we understand the urgency of stroke care and the importance of quick intervention.
When a stroke alert is activated, our specialized stroke team springs into action.
Upon arrival at NAP Medical Center, our patients are swiftly taken to our CT scan room, where the advanced imaging technology captures detailed images of the brain.
These images are then sent to Viz AI's powerful artificial intelligence platform, which analyzes the scan in real time.
Viz AI's cutting-edge algorithms quickly and accurately identify potential signs of stroke,
assisting our team in making informed decisions about the best course of treatment.
NAP Medical Center's primary stroke center
Is dedicated to provide our patients with the highest level of stroke care,
giving them the best chance for recovery.
Trust our experienced team to deliver compassionate care
advanced technology,
and timely intervention
when it matters the most.
You want economical? Need more space? Need reliable safety features? Clark Knapp Honda's got you covered.
Summer might be ending, but Clark Knapp Honda is still heating up with incredible deals like 2.9% APR for 36 months on a 2025 CRV for well-qualified buyers.
Honda for all.
And thank you again to our sponsors for helping us here at RGV Sports shine a light on high school athletes here in the Rio Grande Valley. And now to keep this thing moving, Ivan, the playoffs are finally here, man. It's win or go home season. All these games just setting up to be a fun first round of the high school football playoffs. And as we get going with this bi-district playoff preview, we're going to start off with the big dogs in Class 6A, and we'll move along through the lower classes as we go. So Ivan, why don't you kick us off, man, with some games to watch here in the first round of the high school football playoffs.
Yeah, so 6A is a little different than the others. You know, you have 32 6A districts before they get split up in the playoffs. So then you go to D1, D2, unlike the other teams that are already split up. And so this year, I mean, let's start off with 6A D1. We got kicking off on Friday, Economides at Los Fresnos, 7 p.m. Huge game there, 2 running offenses. You got one of the top quarterbacks in the valley in Robert Pineda leading the Falcons. On the other side, you got a young quarterback, John Carrion, making his playoff debut. So should make for an interesting one there Friday at Leo Aguilar Memorial Stadium in Los Fresnos. And then on Saturday, the only Saturday game, you know, all eyes will be on San Benito at Wesleco High. This is a rematch from a non-district match earlier this year. You know, Wesleco High and San Benito played each other tough. They were tied 14-14 at the break. Wesleco High wins 28-14 down the stretch. But you know, this isn't the same San Benito team from that non-district game, so it could make for an interesting one. They're coming off a win. They're high on that. You know, they're high on that win. On the other side, you got Wesleco, finished 7-3, runner-up in 31 6A. So could make for a huge matchup there in 6A D1. That's Saturday at 2 p.m. at Bobby Lackey Stadium, and then just moving on to the 6A D2 level. I mean, you got Harlingen High, PSJ High, 2 big programs here in the Valley. You know, we know a lot about them, and that one's Thursday at 7 p.m. to kick off the playoff slate at PSJ Stadium. And Harlingen High is kind of stumbling into the playoffs. You know, they were down to their 4th quarterback. Jonas Serna did come back last year, so I'm sure that's a welcome sign for them. And then you got Noah Huerta. You can't count him out when they got a guy like that. Like, he's going to keep you in that game, but it won't be an easy task. On the other side, you got that explosive PSJ High offense. You kind of cruised through the last couple games of the regular season. You saw some of their backups come in and play. You know, Miles Lopez didn't finish most games. They kind of let him rest a little, and they're coming in healthy for the most part. They're coming in with those weapons, and they look ready to roll and make a deep playoff run on their own. That's this Thursday, 7 p.m. at PSJ Stadium, Harlingen High at PSJ High. And just to round out our 6A D2 action, I mean, you got Edinburgh High and Brownsville Vets on Friday at 7 p.m. at Sam's Memorial Stadium. Brownsville Vets, they had the luxury. They had a week off. They finished their season a week earlier. They had that bye week at the last week of the season, so gives them a chance to, you know, recuperate, get healthy. You know, meanwhile, Edinburgh High, they're coming off a tough loss there to Edinburgh North. You know, 7-6 rivalry game. We've talked about it before. Everything goes out the window. But those Bobcats, they got some players. JT Santamaria has been an athlete back there. He can run, he can throw. And it's going to be a tough task, though. I mean, you got Brownsville veterans, and they're physical, they're fast, they hit hard. And, you know, you're going to have to do something and get some balls to bounce your way to try to come out on top against a rested veterans team that's coming in ready to kind of, you know, make a statement. I think that they know about what happened last year. They went 5 deep. You know, they were in the state semis. People are saying they can't compete. I think they want to prove they can compete. Doesn't matter what class, 5A, 6A. They're here to make some noise.
Yeah, the opportunity to show everybody is here. So good luck to those 6A squads as they kick off the playoffs with 4 RGV versus RGV matchups.
Yes, sir.
And Ivan, I mean, as we move on to Class 5A D1, we got a few more RGV versus RGV matchups, and with a couple Coastal Bend squads mixed in here. So let's start the 5A D1 breakdown. And we got Harlingen South, the number 4 seed from 15 5A D1, taking on district champion from 16 5A D1, Edinburgh Vela, who finished the year 10-0, the only undefeated team here in the Rio Grande Valley. And man, the SaberCats have been rolling, man. They're just rolling on all cylinders. That offense has kind of found its groove with Jeffrey Lefevre and running back Jonathan Flores, and then they got playmakers all over at the receiver position, even tight end Noah Rocha. So they got some good players. June Garza at receiver, been making plays all year as the Vela's number 1 receiver. So really looking forward to this one. The SaberCats taking on a Harlingen South team that likes to run the ball, man, and they play good defense, man. The South Hawks are they're just a sound group. Linebacker Marcus Garza kind of leads that defense from the second level. He's been on a tear this year. And running back Alvin Edwards and quarterback Dylan Anaya, we touched on them. The co-players of the week said they're coming off a big performance in Week 11 to punch their ticket to the playoffs. We'll see if they can ride that momentum here into this one against Edinburgh Vela. But Edinburgh Valley's defense, man, they're also as sound as they come, as disciplined as they come. Defensive coordinator Jody Cantu always has those guys ready to go. So really looking forward to seeing this matchup, the Harlingen South Hawks at the Edinburgh Valley Sabercats, 7:30 p.m. Friday at Richard R. Flores Stadium in Edinburgh. And to keep it moving, Ivan, we got La Jolla Palmview coming in at the number 4 seed in 16-5A D1, taking on PSG North, the number 1 seed from District 15-5A D1. The Raiders finish in a 3-way tie, but due to a points tiebreaker, the Raiders end up with the number 1 seed there in 15-5A D1. So they get a home game, 7:30 p.m. Friday at PSGA Stadium in FAR. The Lobos, man, 7-3. They're back in the playoffs, and they're looking to make some noise. They like to run the ball and take away possessions, and use that running game to kind of move the ball and take away possessions from the other team, which is exactly what PSG North likes to do. So we'll see how this one turns out. The PSG North Raiders, they're just they're on another level, man. This squad is as good as it gets here in the Rio Grande Valley. They do it all: passing, running, defense, special teams. They can make it happen. So really looking forward to this game. PSG North, La Jolla Palmview, 7:30 p.m. Friday in FAR. And then, Ivan, we touched on those Coastal Bend teams coming to the Valley, and we got another Valley squad making a trip up to the Coastal Bend this weekend. Where we got the Flower Bluff Hornets, who finish as the number 3 seed in 15-5A1 due to that points tiebreaker, coming down to the Valley to take on McAllen Memorial, the Mustangs, at 7 p.m. Friday at McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium here. And McAllen Memorial finishes 2nd in the district. They get to host a playoff game. Flower Bluff, they're coming off that loss, and they'll have to make some noise here down in the Valley against a good Mustang squad. Running back J.P. Garza, Jaden Solis, both of them have been playmakers this year for the Mustangs, so we'll see if they can get that going and bounce back here after coming off that Week 11 loss against La Jolla Palmview. And Flower Bluff, they're coming off their first loss of the season, so I'm sure they want to put that one behind them, definitely start the playoffs on the right foot. This one, 7 p.m. Friday at McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium here in McAllen. And finally, Mission High, the number 3 seed in District 16-5A D1, takes a trip to Corpus this weekend to take on Corpus Christi Veterans at 7 p.m. Friday. And this one should be a good one, man. Corpus Christi Veterans quarterback Noah Anders versus Mission High quarterback Diego Salinas. I mean, both of them have shown their playmaking ability this year, and I'm expecting that this coming up Friday night. And I mean, Mission High, they finished the year 5-5, but hey, don't count them out, man. They got some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. They can make some noise. We'll see if they can do just that against a good Corpus Christi veteran squad coming off their best performance of the season in that 36-33 overtime win against Flower Bluff in Week 11. So that's 5AD1, Ivan. Now let's dive into 5AD2, Ivan. We got a few couple rematches that we saw earlier this year during the regular season. Those teams will lock horns once again. We'll see if those teams that won in the regular season can do so again, or if those teams can get a little get back here in the first round of the playoffs. So why don't we dive into the 5AD2 breakdown? Which game do you want to start off with, Ivan? All of them are setting up to be tightly contested games.
Let's start off with Sharyland High and Mercedes. These are 2 teams that we've gotten familiar with this year. I think we both got a chance to see them this year, and that's this Friday at 7 p.m. at Tiger Stadium in Mercedes. And like you said, a rematch in our hands here. Last time they met, I mean, they combined for 96 points in a shootout win by Sharyland High, 56-40. And, quarterback Calvin Harris goes over 400 yards that day, 6 passing touchdowns, rushes for 171 and 1 touchdown. And the other side, you had Robert Sanchez over 140 and 2 touchdowns, and quarterback Aaron Cortez, big day from him too. So it's going to be interesting. I think both of these teams have grown since then. Mercedes is looking like a contender there. They came short of a district title, but they finished with only 1 loss to the district champ, Ed Couch Elsa. And then Sharyland High, I mean, they kind of had an up and down year. They were in a lot of games this year that, could have gone either way really, but they're in the playoffs and now they get to travel to Mercedes. These are somewhat of rivals. They've played each other before. They used to be in the same district. Now they're meeting in the bi-district round. So expect fireworks again. I mean, you got some of the top offensive weapons there, on both sides of the ball, from running back Robert Sanchez, we talked about, Calvin Harris and his receiving core there. Expect a lot of points in that one, and that's this Friday at Tiger Stadium at 7 p.m. And Bryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about our other rematch going on in the 5AD2 level between Mission Vets and Ed Couch Elsa?
Yeah, that one should be a good one. These 2 teams met earlier this year in non-district play, Ed Couch also picked up a big, convincing 39-12 win over Mission Veterans, even though Mission Veterans outgained the Yellow Jackets in that game offensively. It just so happened turnovers were the difference in that game. Ed Couch also won the turnover battle. They won the game. They were set up in good position all game, and then they delivered. They capitalized. That's what good teams do. So we'll see if Mission Veterans, who has been playing better football this second half of the season, we'll see what they can do and make some noise here as they take on the Ed Couch also Yellow Jackets. Elijah Trevino coming off a big performance in Week 11 to help the Yellow Jackets clinch that outright district title. And then Mission Veterans on the other side, quarterback Roman Arena has provided a little bit of a spark for that Patriots offense this season. So we're really looking forward to this game. This one is 7 p.m. Friday at Benny Layton Senior Memorial Stadium, and I'm expecting a good one. That's the same side of their first matchup. We'll see how this one turns out. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, Ed Couchhouse's defense, one of the best units here in the Valley.
Definitely.
Mission Veterans, that offense has been making some noise here late, so we'll see who comes out on top in this one. And then, Ivan, to keep things moving, we got another good matchup between two Valley squads, Brownsville Lopez and Sharyland Pioneer. Why don't you kick off this breakdown, and we can kind of give these people a look at the Lobos and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I mean, these are two teams that finished 7-3 overall. You know, I think, you know, these teams are teams that maybe people didn't expect to have such good seasons, but, you know, Lopez is making their return to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. And Pioneer, you mentioned, they lost a lot of seniors last year, but here they are again, finishes the number 2 seed, 7-3 overall, and gets to host a playoff game. And that's this Friday at 7 p.m. at Richard Thompson Stadium. And it should be a good one, man. You got some athletes there on both sides of the ball. I mean, obviously, on Lopez's side, you got guys like quarterback Guadalupe Ramirez Jr., you know, who can get it done through the air. You got Gabriel Rios, who can blow the top off defenses, and running back Eddie Slovak, the heartbeat of that offense. He gets up to 30 carries a game. He finishes in the top 10 in rushing despite missing 2 games this year. I mean, just what an offensive weapons they have there at Lopez, and the job Tarantola has done to get his team to this point. And they want that first playoff win. You know, they want to get that playoff win and move on to the second round. They don't want to just get there. They want to make some noise. But on the other side, you got a program like Pioneer. They've established themselves over the years. Coach Galindo has this team back there in the playoffs. And, you know, quarterback William Goodlow, he's really starting to find his groove there behind center. He can get it done through the air, on the ground. He's had some big rushing games. I remember against Vets earlier this year, he had a good showing. And, you know, he can get it done through that, like with his arm, too. And they don't ask him to throw a whole bunch. He's only averaging 91 yards a game through the air. But he can do it if needs to. So should make for an exciting show there. You know, it's some offensive fireworks too, I believe, are going to be on display here. And, you know, I think these are two squads looking for a playoff win, and you know, especially Lopez, man, just to get back there is a big deal. But they were in a district title race to the last game of the season. They're not your typical 3 seed, you would say. You know, so it should make for a good one this Friday, 7 p.m. at Richard Thompson Stadium there in Mission.
And finally, to round out the Class 5A D2 playoff matchups, we got Brownsville Pace, the number 4 seed in 16-5A D2, taking on 15-5A D2 champion Alice. This one's 7 p.m. Friday in Alice. And I'm in the Pace Vikings. We know that Adrian Sauceda is the motor that makes them go, man. So we'll see what the Vikings can do here in entering the playoffs against a good squad in Alice that has just a dual threat quarterback in Lucian Cruz, who has done it through the air, on the ground this year to lead the Coyotes to another district title there in 15-5A D2. So really looking forward to that matchup there. That one is 7 p.m. Friday in Alice as the Vikings take a trip for their by-district playoff game. And then, Ivan, we got several sub-5A playoff matchups. What catches your eye? What stands out as we look at our sub-5A playoff matchups here in the first round?
Well, let's talk about some of our district champions. You got La Villa kicking things off. Their playoff, journey begins this Thursday at 7 p.m. against Louise at 7 p.m. at Buckaroo Stadium in Freer. And this is a team that lost their star quarterback in Brandon Felix. You know, he was there a 4-year starter, 3-time superlative winner. I think he was a newcomer year once, 2-time sub-5A player of the year for us. And hence comes in his brother, Isaiah Felix, man. The kid goes over 800 yards on the ground, 17 touchdowns, I believe, throws for over 600 yards and a good chunk of touchdowns. And he plays defense too. So they win their 4th district title this year. And, you know, great job by Danny Pettis there as the head coach of the Cardinals. And they're back in the playoffs, and they're this time at the D2 level. So They'll try to get that playoff win and keep things rolling. I think they've won 6 straight to close out the year, to win that district title. So shout out the Cardinals. And, I don't know much about Luis, but I know much about Lavia. And, Isaiah Felix is a playmaker back there. He's going to want to lead that team to, deep playoff runs like his brother did in the past. Now it's his turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big game there for Lavia as they get ready. That one's Thursday, 7 p.m. in Freer. And then Ivan, we got a couple big sub-5A matchups going on Thursday as well. Santa Rosa takes on Cotula, 7 p.m. at San Diego High School. And then Santa Maria takes on Weimar, 7 p.m. at Owl Stadium in Odom. Those 3 games, including La Villa, Thursday, those will kick off our Texas High School football playoff action here. Getting busy on Thursday, and that sets up some big games Friday. Ivan, we got Port Isabel taking on Ingleside, 7 p.m. Friday at Jersey Bull Stadium in Falfurrias. We got Cuero making a trip down to the Rio Grande Valley against La Feria, 7 p.m. in La Feria, and then Rio Hondo taking on Corpus Christi London, 7 p.m. at Bogus Stadium in Harlingen. And then finally, Ivan, if we can touch on this one for a second, Brownsville St. Joseph, who we haven't touched on in a bit because they've been in the district playing out-of-valley teams for quite some time now, for maybe about the latest month. But here they are, 9-1. I know they're a sub-5A team, but they're one of the best here in the Rio Grande Valley. Just your thoughts on Brownsville St. Joseph as they gear up for that playoff run at the TAPS D2 level.
They got the players there to make that sort of playoff run, and it all starts with Claudio Torres. We've talked about him year in year, like all year. He could win a Player of the Week every year if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. And he finishes with over 1,300 yards on the ground, top 10 in rushing, over almost 1,000 yards receiving, 985, number 4 in the Valley, and number 1 in scoring with 214 points. He is the engine that keeps that offensive machine there at Brownsville St. Joseph going. And you add in guys like Diego de la Cruz, right, at offensive lineman. You got quarterback Gavin Cisneros, Andre Cristiano at running back. They got playmakers around the board. So this team is very well capable of making a deep playoff run. The road to state's a little shorter in TAPS, but that doesn't take away from that journey there. And it begins this Friday at 5 p.m. against Lutheran South, I think is what they're
Yes, yeah, Houston Lutheran South.
Houston Lutheran South. So it's a big one there, and they're gonna go, in my opinion, as Claudio Torres goes. He's the engine there, and he's one of the top players, not just at the sub-5A level. I would say in the whole Valley. It doesn't matter who he plays, that kid's gonna make plays.
Yeah, so some big matchups here, not just in the Rio Grande Valley, but all across South Texas for our teams from the 6A level all the way down to the 2A squads. So we're looking forward to kicking off that action here in the bi-district round of the playoffs. It all starts Thursday, Friday, and we got a special Saturday game coming to us live here in Weslaco. But man, I'm just really looking forward to it. Why don't you tell the people where they can visit us and catch all the latest and all the stuff we're doing here at RGV Sports?
Yeah, so all the schedules, standings, stats, all that stuff. You want to see who finished as the passing leader, go ahead and visit us at football.rgvsports.com, or you can go to rgvsports.com and click on the football tab. We have it all there, from rushing leaders, tackle leaders, sack leaders, and all our stories, whether it's a preview, game stories, or just our rankings. You can find it all there on our website. And also make sure to follow our YouTube, where we give you all our podcasts. We give you weekly highlights, post-game interviews. We bring it all to you, just to give you all the best coverage we can in the Rio Grande Valley. You got Max Preps, you got Huddle, you got stuff like that, but we localize it for you so you have it all in one page.
Absolutely, and make sure to catch up on some volleyball action at rgvsports.com and on our YouTube page. We're right in the middle of the volleyball playoffs, round 3 getting started. Then we got regional tourney coming up this weekend, so you can find all that and of course all our football coverage at rgvsports.com. So thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the RGV Sports Podcast. Good luck to all those teams kicking off here in round 1 of the Texas High School football playoffs. We'll catch you next time.